The hospital burned down 14 years ago, so why do I hear syringes clinking in the operating room? I never believed in the supernatural. I wasn't the kind of person who dismissed things just because I couldn't see them, but I always needed a rational reason, a scientific explanation. Until that night, we, Marcus and I, were urban explorers. Old factories, moldy theaters, amusement parks overtaken by vines. There was something addictive about walking into places that were once alive, now reduced to wind and rubble. People call it urbex, urban exploration. We'd gotten caught once sneaking into an abandoned military warehouse on the outskirts of town, but after that, we just got more careful, never stopped. So when Marcus sent me a Reddit thread titled "Burned Hospital in Alder County Still Warm?" I already knew where this was going. I nodded anyway. Alora's hospital used to be one of the biggest medical centers in the north. A devastating fire broke out in 2011, starting in an underground research lab. Some theories claimed they were experimenting with an unapproved neurodrug. The government denied it. But newspapers, survivors, and one anonymous nurse all said the same thing. The fire spread too fast, the alarms didn't go off, and there was a basement level that never appeared on the official floor plans. 47 dead, 12 missing. The hospital was shut down permanently, no cleanup, no one dared to go back. The night we arrived, the air was ice cold. Wind hissed through the trees surrounding the hospital, carrying the scent of mold and something that smelled faintly like old ash. The 3-story building loomed in the darkness, blackened walls and holes in the roof like gaping mouths waiting to swallow us whole. Marcus slipped through a broken glass panel. I had to shine my flashlight to avoid stepping on shards or rusted syringe casings. The smell inside was hard to describe, a mix of antiseptic, burnt paper, and something sharp like rotting meat. We crept through pitch-black corridors. My flashlight swept past empty hospital rooms, broken metal beds, charred medical curtains, graffiti from past trespassers. "This place is creepier than I thought," Marcus whispered. I nodded, heart racing every time glass crunched beneath my shoes. After about 30 minutes, we reached the south wing, the one mentioned in the Reddit post. "This used to be the ICU," Marcus said, pulling up a faded floor plan on his phone. The signal was nearly gone, but GPS flickered in and out. Then we saw it, a white door, the only one untouched by the fire. All the others were scorched, paint peeled, or barely hanging on their hinges, but this one was intact. That's when I noticed the metal doorknob wasn't cold. In fact, it was slightly warm when I touched it. I looked at Marcus. He didn't say anything, just stared at me, a mix of doubt and curiosity in his eyes. I turned the knob. It wasn't locked. The door creaked open slowly, releasing a soft, sigh-like sound. The room was dark, but my flashlight immediately revealed something different from the rest of the hospital. Everything was clean, untouched. A pristine hospital bed, crisp white sheets tucked tight like they'd just been made. A stainless steel tray beside it, glistening with beads of water, as if it had just been washed. On the wall, an old heart monitor beeped softly. Beep, beep, no power, no wires, but it was on, as if it was connected to something else. I stepped inside. Marcus followed. The door gently shut behind us, not locked, but resting half-closed. The air was warmer here, not cold like the hallway, but warm, like someone had just left. I looked down, wet footprints. Not mine, not Marcus's. "I have a bad feeling," Marcus said, swallowing hard. I nodded. I felt it too. But strangely, I didn't want to leave. Something held me there, pulled me in. I opened the bedside drawer, found a thin medical file with a gray cover. Inside, the papers weren't burned. They didn't even smell like smoke. The first page read, "Patient ID 313, name redacted, status under observation. Room L03, restricted access." I turned to Marcus. "L03, that's the basement, right?" He nodded, then stepped back, eyes fixed on something I hadn't noticed. On the bed, the pillow was dented, as if someone had just gotten up, and beside it, a long black hair still resting on the white sheet. A sudden clink echoed from the corner. We jumped, flashlight snapping toward the sound. A metal IV cart, the kind with wheels and a stainless steel tray, was rocking slowly. No wind, no rats. Still it clinked, gently, rhythmically. Then a click, like a chain falling onto the floor. I didn't wait. I grabbed Marcus and pulled him toward the door. But it wouldn't open. It wasn't locked, but it wouldn't budge, as if held shut. From the outside, or the inside. Marcus pounded on it. "Open up! Come on! Open the damn door!" I turned around, hands trembling, light scanning the room. The bed was empty, the pillow still dented, but now, on the tray, there was a fresh syringe, filled with thick, black liquid. And on the wall, a message had appeared, like it had just been carved in. 313 isn't gone. He's still warm. I didn't know who wrote it. The walls were still coated in a haze of smoke and soot. Yet the letters stood out, wet and dark, like they'd been written in diluted blood. 313 isn't gone. He's still warm. We tried to break the door, slammed into it, yanked, even used the tray to bash the handle, but it didn't move. It felt like someone on the other side was holding it, determined not to let us out. Marcus whispered, "Do you hear that?" I stopped, listened, beep, beep, a heartbeat monitor. I thought it was from the still glowing screen, but no, the sound wasn't coming from the machine. It was coming from beneath the floor. I crouched, pressing my ear to the cold tile. Beep, 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 clear as day, a heartbeat, steady, below us. "The basement," I said quietly. Marcus looked up. "What did you say?" "Basement, room L03, patient 313, down there." I'm not sure why I'm so sure of this, but each piece, the medical files, the words, the syringes, the room temperature, all point to one thing. Someone or something is still being watched, and they didn't die in the fire. Finally, the door opened, without warning. No sound, it just opened. We rushed into the hallway as if being chased, but stopped after a few steps. At the foot of the stairs, a shadow passed across, not fast, not slow, indistinct, but too real to be called a hallucination. "Are we going after it?" Marcus asked, his face pale. I looked at him, then down at the medical file I was still holding. I nodded. The stairs led down into a narrow, dark basement, like the throat of some beast. Every step echoed as if someone was walking up from below. We remained silent, only hearing our heartbeats and the beep, beep sound, faint and distant. At the bottom of the stairs, we stopped. A gray metal door, locked with a code. On the wall beside it, someone had scrawled the number, 313. Marcus stepped forward, tried the combination, 313. Beep. The door opened. No electricity, no light. But from within, a warm breeze gently blew out, as if opening a door to a room where someone was sleeping. Room L03 didn't look like a patient room. It looked like a laboratory. Inside were 3 empty beds, tubes, medical equipment, and bottles of liquid hanging from metal frames, all covered in soot, except for the bed in the middle. That bed was clean. A body lay there, wrapped in white sheets, head facing the ceiling. The left hand had an IV needle, beside it a heart monitor still working, its green screen flickering weakly. We didn't dare approach, but my body moved closer on its own. Above the bed, a small nameplate read, Patient 313. No name, no admission date, just a number. I leaned over to look at the person's face, eyes wide open. No blinking, no response, but breathing. His chest rose and fell lightly, his breath weak but steady. Then Marcus's flashlight flickered on something behind the silver curtain next to the bed. I gently lifted the curtain. An electronic board, like a control panel mounted directly to the wall. It had 3 buttons, sleep, wake, and a red button labeled contain. The screen showed the current status, sleeping, warm, stable. Marcus whispered, "Don't press anything. I don't like this place." I nodded, but what I couldn't look away from was the blinking text just below. Do not interrupt cycle. He remembers pain. Suddenly my heart jolted. It felt as if someone had just shoved a cold needle into my chest. I turned around. He was sitting up. Patient 313. He hadn't moved at all until now, but now he was staring directly at me. His eyes wide open, jet black. No whites, his mouth opened slightly. No sound came out, but I heard his voice in my head. "I'm still warm. You'll stay." Marcus screamed. We ran. The flashlight flickered off and on like the batteries were dying. Every door along the way slammed shut behind us, forcing us to run all the way back up to the first floor, where the dim light from outside filtered in through a broken window. But as soon as I stepped onto the last stair, the lights in the hospital flickered on. Every fluorescent bulb flickered weakly, cracking, illuminating the scorched hallway. The white room, where we began, had no door anymore, only a smooth brick wall with no seams. Marcus grabbed my arm. "We need to get out of here, now." I nodded. But just then, a familiar sound echoed from behind, from the floor below, coming up through the steel stairs. Beep, beep, beep. Then the rhythm changed. Faster, louder, beep, 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 beep. We ran, not looking back, not saying a word, but the beeping followed. It felt like something was speeding up, closing in on our heels. Marcus gasped, "Where's the exit?" When we first entered, the main door was just a burnt wooden frame, wide open to the wind outside the hospital. But now, in front of us, was a brick wall. No door, no crack. I ran to it, banging on the wall. "This can't be!" Behind us, the lights began to go out one by one, crack, 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 as if something was approaching us from the end of the hall. We had no choice. To the left, there was an old elevator, burnt and charred, its door slightly ajar. Marcus and I exchanged a brief look, then climbed inside, hands trembling as I pressed a random button. No power, but it moved. No sound, no shaking. It simply slid down. Marcus looked at me. "What do you think this is?" I didn't answer. I didn't know. But deep in my mind, I began to suspect that the fact we found the medical records, the room still warm, the door opening by itself, wasn't just a coincidence. Someone or something had led us here. When the elevator stopped, the door opened into a hallway completely untouched by fire. White painted walls, shiny tile floor. The lights were still on, steady. It was unnervingly quiet. On the wall, a nameplate, leveled Nash 1, experimental wing. I whispered, "This hospital really has an underground floor." At the end of the hallway, a metal door was slightly ajar. From inside, a faint orange light like a sunset radiated out. I approached, Marcus following behind. Inside was a large, empty room. In the center, a huge glass tank containing a thick liquid resembling diluted blood. A body floated inside, hooked with wires and electrodes. No hair, no eyelids, no lips. Just living flesh wrapped around a skeletal frame, still alive or waiting to wake up. A control panel next to it displayed, Subject 313, contained, status, warm. Marcus stepped back. Wasn't he lying on the bed? I shook my head. Maybe. He's still here? What we saw on the upper floor was just... No need to finish. We both understood. A replica, an empty form, a piece of consciousness, a shadow that remembers. At that moment, the screen changed its status. Status, awake. The glass tank began to bubble softly. The lights in the room flickered out. The machines began to screech, as if resisting something about to happen. The tank lid creaked open, and the temperature in the room dropped sharply. I exhaled a cloud of white vapor. The warmth disappeared. Instead, there was a bone-chilling cold. I turned my head. Subject 313 was standing behind Marcus. No one heard him approach. No movement. Just suddenly there. Marcus turned around. No time to scream. He raised his hand, touching Marcus's forehead. Just a touch. Marcus's skin began to vaporize. No fire, no blood. Just steam rising from every pore, as if his body was being drained of warmth. In seconds, Marcus collapsed, his skin wrinkling like dried-up flesh. I couldn't react. My legs wouldn't move. Then he turned to me. "Do you want to know the truth?" A voice echoed, unclear from where, reverberating as if from inside my head. "We don't heal here. We study the final memories before death, and 313 was the first to remember everything." The room spun. I saw overlapping images. A man locked in a cold room for weeks. Doctors surrounding him, injecting him with black liquid. He screamed in agony, but never died. And then, the fire. Someone said it. Maybe it was him. I heard the scream. I don't want to forget. I woke up among the black ash outside the building. No sign of Marcus. No entrance. Nothing remained except the small metal nameplate in my jacket pocket. Patient 313, status warm. I threw it away. Ran from there. Never looked back. A week has passed. I haven't told anyone. But every night when I lie in the dark, I hear the beeping sound, beeping, echoing in my head. And last night, I saw steam rising from the bathroom mirror, even though the water had never been turned on.